So we worked on a lot of things this week, and we've also not really worked on anything at all. Um, First thing we started out early this week was setting up atmospheric volumes around the map. Immediately ran into a problem very similar to what I talked about originally, which was how if you don't have the pivot in the right section, it can get annoying to scale objects. Obviously, it's not an issue if you don't plan on scaling your objects, you're keeping them at one size. That's not the case for the type of building that I'm doing. So I probably have some footage of showing me using the edit pivot to switch the volume around and things like that. At that point, it was much easier to start placing atmospherics around the map. Also, great time to talk about the importance of source control. Notating so that when you come back, you understand what you were working on. I've only stopped working for a couple days. Now I had to film this video to tell you guys what I've been working on, and I couldn't for the life of me remember what that was. So thankfully, we can pull up my notes, like some of this source control I should be showing on the screen right now. And I have detailed notes about everything that I worked on. I can see what files I changed. And if you didn't already know it, Unreal does allow you to diff blueprints. If you don't know what diff means, Google it. If you didn't know you could diff blueprints, check it out. I started creating some child objects of the Atmos volumes. It's easier to create differently shaped volumes as children instead of trying to make them work, because as it is now, they're just squares, and not every room is just going to be a square, obviously. Let's see what else we've worked on. Did a lot of hydroponics works. You can see the code up here. Way closer to having growing plants, harvestable plants, different plant types, and the food that comes from that. The main fun in hydroponics is going to be breeding stronger, better, more potent plants. There's a little bit of RNG at work, but you have a lot of children from every harvest, so you can really pick and select what it is that you want to keep growing. It's fairly satisfying gameplay. Whatever you don't want to keep, that's what you use to feed the crew. You give that to your chef and whatnot. So it's a very nice, straightforward system, but it's still satisfying to really choose what you want to selectively breed and grow into the best crop. So I want to make sure that gameplay is intact here. We've also worked on the hydroponic tray itself, which is where you're going to do most of your growing. We did a lot of work on chemistry. Originally, I was toying with the idea of not making chemistry an actor component. So I was moving all of the general functionality into a blueprint function library, but I remembered why I didn't do that in the first place. You have to provide world context in a blueprint function library, and a lot of the functions that I use are going to be recursive. So I'd have to get the world context of the original function and pass it to itself when I recursively call it. For example, in my try all reactions function. And I could test it out. It will probably work, but it's very annoying. And it's probably something I'm still going to play with and think about. But for now, it's going to stay as an actor component. We added quite a lot of chemistry recipes. We're going to have to tweak this as we actually implement it in the game. But it gives us a good baseline to work with. It gives us a good structure to work with. We also created the data table for general information on chemicals, like their overdose threshold, the name, description, and category, which is really just for sorting. So that's looking pretty nice. And we'll go ahead and end the video here for now.